So I wanted to make this video to get into the intent around why we use the 1 and the 2 only on the feedback app for around weeks 3 or 4 in module 1, or formerly known as PRT A. So at this point within your training group, you're starting to use the feedback app, which we use anonymously to practice giving, but also getting some context and the emotions around receiving feedback. Now, at week 3 or 4 at that junction, we're sticking strictly to only using the 1 and the 2. So if you're familiar with the feedback app, it's a scoring of 1 through 4. 1 means does not meet expectations. 2 normally means meets expectations. 3 means exceeds expectations. And 4 means far exceeds expectations. Now, for the context of weeks 3 and 4, they already have a couple weeks under their belts. They may have gotten through the getting worse exercise, started to get introduced into the red arrow behaviors. And now what we're looking at is once we're starting to practice giving feedback in your training group, the 1 is intended to be given to individuals who they think are not training hard or taking the coaching or training seriously, while the 2 is intended to give to individuals who they think are training hard and are taking this seriously. So the reason behind that of the 1 and the 2 is that it gets people familiar or comfortable with the 1 and the 2. What we found is that when opening up the feedback app, people tend to be overly nice and they give these 3s and 4s, when in reality, the feedback that they write doesn't necessarily reflect the score. So that's one part. The second part is that it gives a decent baseline from week 3 to week 4 of anyone that has scored a 1 based on the next week training a little bit harder. Do they level up and now receive a 2? So for both those weeks 3 and 4, they're only using the 1 and the 2. So again, the idea here is to have them practice giving feedback on that score of 1 and 2, but also as the coach, something to articulate to your group is after receiving the feedback from everyone in your group, and again, everyone is required to give everyone in that session feedback, using that next week to digest it a bit, right? The emotions around it, right? We may struggle with receiving feedback. One of the things that I was talking a little bit about, especially as a coach, is that coaches tend to be overly repped in giving feedback, but under repped in receiving feedback, right? We're always coaching and helping others and giving our point of view and perspective and feedback and being direct. On the other side, not receiving. So this brings out a couple things for folks, right? Who you can start to identify who may struggle to really give that 1 and the 2, who may struggle to articulate why they're giving either that 1 or the 2 to that individual. But also you're starting to see, based on the reflection in the following week, how people reacted to maybe receiving some 1s from individuals. And the idea behind this being anonymous is that it creates some levels of psychological safety. And in this training environment where everyone is working on getting better, that it allows everyone in the group to be able to, share their point of view and put their truth out there. And one of the biggest things as it relates to giving feedback is that it is your truth. It doesn't necessarily mean fact, but over time, if we start to see a lot of feedback on one side and we may viscerally disagree with it, that tends to be some signals that we necessarily can't ignore. So in any event, I wanted to just explain that a little bit, why we give the 1 and the 2, why we use that from the beginning on this training, and the intent as a coach and how you can sort of use that information to help your group going forward. Hope this helps.